Lamar's mind? How is he playing this? Is he being reserved to perhaps protect himself?
Look, the bottom line of it is this. I would never question whether a player is hurt or not. I'm not in his head. I'm not in his knee. I don't know. But the simple fact is, if he's too hurt to play, nothing is stopping his coach from saying that. John Harbaugh has repeatedly refused to say, look, guys, Lamar's just too hurt to play. When he's healthy enough to play, we'll put him out there. And, Tim, that has been striking to me all week.
And I agree with you on that has been striking, and that's actually kind of been going on for a while in terms of how Harbaugh has addressed the situation. I thought about this as well. Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Tua, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, they all had significant injuries at some point this season. Did any of them address in detail their injury status? No, because you don't. You don't do that unless you were trying to let everybody know how hurt you are.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bizarre situation. With that being said, and if you can kind of compartmentalize that, the reality of it is this. If Baltimore loses this weekend, Lamar Jackson then has zero opportunities for him to get hurt playing football between now and, between that point and being guaranteed $40 million, or roughly around there, at least.
For the franchise tag.
For the franchise tag, which, by the way, is more money than he has made in his entire career so far. So, listen, nobody would have faulted him for holding out. Actually, nobody, but people would not have faulted him that much for holding out in September. He now is at the doorstep of the most money that he'll ever be guaranteed in his career.
So, Nico, how should we read this? Because we use the word holdout. And again, no one is questioning that he's hurt. Every player in the NFL is to some degree hurt at this point of the season. But the way the coach is talking about it, it sounds like the way coaches talk about players when they're holding out in training camp. We'll talk about the guys who are here. I don't have any update for you on that. I'm just focused on the game or the things that I can control. The coach sounds like he's talking about a player who's holding out.
I'm sure Harbaugh is frustrated. And look, every single year you strive to make it into the playoffs and get to a Super Bowl. And when you have a backup quarterback, your chances of winning this matchup and getting deep into the playoffs, slim chance. So I'm sure he's frustrated. But at the end of the day, the player has to be 100% confident that when they stick their foot in the ground, they're going to cut and they're going to be able to play the game the way that they feel confident to play the game. It's really mental. This game is mental, and how you feel physically can really affect, everything that you do. So I think Lamar, especially a PCL injury, I think this is being downplayed. A PCL injury is just as bad as an ACL injury. It's almost worse because you can fix an ACL, and we hear it all the time. Oh, a guy has his ACL fixed. Okay, he's back in a year. A PCL, they can go and try and correct the PCL injury, but it's not as great of a result as a normal ACL tear. So he has to be very cautious. And a sprain is a tear. That's another thing. An ACL sprain is an ACL tear.
Right.
So he has a torn PCL, a sprain. So if he goes out there and the same mechanism of how he hurt it happens again, he drives his knee into the ground and he tears it completely, he's going to have a reconstruction.
Yeah, we saw with Zach Wilson. Remember, he missed 4 games with that same exact injury. This is going a little longer.
Right. That's going longer. The question, I think, Ed, that is kind of everyone's wondering is, if he had signed the contract,
would he be out there?
Philip Rivers played in a playoff game with a torn ACL, right?
Different
players and stuff.
Yeah.
True. Listen,
yeah. Look.
I think to your point, Greeny, how the coach has addressed it, has
fishy.
Caused.
Let me put the ribbon on it with this. And look, maybe they win the game on Sunday night. I don't think anyone expects it, but it's not impossible. But one way or another, the people you talk to, is the expectation that Lamar Jackson this offseason could wind up on another team?
There is 100% a thought that Lamar Jackson won't be a Baltimore Raven if this team decides to move on, right? Because they have structured their entire offense based on Lamar's strengths. But maybe through this journey and seeing that he has been injured, they start to take a look and rethink what they want to do moving forward, because this is going to be a complete restructure if they move on from Lamar.
What a fascinating bidding war we could see teams getting into if Lamar Jackson winds up being in play this offseason. Meanwhile, we got to deal with the postseason first. Coming up, Jalen Hurts was cryptic when he spoke yesterday. You'll hear what he said, and you'll hear why fans of his team's future. Plus, how this dynamic duo can keep the magic carpet flying at least one more week through Minnesota. Oh, it's the best football Friday of the year, people, and it starts right now. Delighted that you were there on Get Up. Let's go.
some energy here.
The news is this, people. Diana Rossini is back in studio for the first time. We love it.
Back. Oh, thanks, Rob.
Hasselbeck is here. Ninkovich is here. Ryan Clark will join us shortly. Let's dive into it. We've got the games coming your way. The last one might be the best. Cowboys, an uphill battle entering Monday Night Showdown against Tampa. First off, they're battling history. They haven't won a road playoff game in 30 years. The 8 straight road playoff losses tied for the second longest streak all time. Next, they got to go up against the guy they never beat. Tampa, Tom Brady, is 7-0 against the Cowboys, his best record against any opponent in his incredible career. And finally, the Cowboys are battling themselves, specifically trying to overcome Dak Prescott's league-leading 15 interceptions. Here's Ezekiel Elliott talking about his struggling QB.
I don't know if it's really affected his confidence at all. I mean, when you put all the work in, when you leave nothing up to doubt, then there's no reason for you to lose confidence. You built that through continuous hard work. He's put the work in. I know he's ready.
So I've been asking this question a lot this week, and I have a quarterback here now to analyze it for us because I'm confounded by what is going on with Dak Prescott. The things that he is struggling with seem to be all of the things that we always laud him for, all of that. So what are you seeing in these interceptions?
Well, to your point, he's been historically good at making good decisions and protecting the football. That's kind of been a marker of his career. And so I went back and looked at the interceptions, basically starting from his first game in December. And so there's been 9 interceptions since that point. And what I found is that nearly half of them are stuff like this. Here's Michael Gallup falling down, and Stephon Gilmore picking the football up. When he throws that football to Gallup, he doesn't know he's falling down. How about this one against the Texans when his arm gets hit throwing to an open tight end? Like, there's part of this that's just unlucky. Like, you don't know your arm is going to get hit. These things can happen to all quarterbacks. How about Jacksonville? We all remember this one that bounces off of a receiver's hands and then gets picked off and run back for essentially the game-winning score, and then against the Tennessee Titans, ball off the chest of a tight end. So now we're looking at 4 plays right here. Out of 9, 4 that are completely really not on the quarterback whatsoever. So I look at that and I think, well, if he had thrown 5 interceptions since the start of December, there wouldn't be this discussion about it.
I understand
it's a dependent position. So, and I'm not agreeing. I'm not trying to be some apologist and say he's played great. Look, the one against Philadelphia is a bad judgment. He made a bad decision against Houston. The ball gets left inside against Washington a week ago. It hasn't been perfect, but we're talking about 9 since that point.
Let's talk about Dak Prescott in particular. There's so many angles of this game, and we'll get to the coach of it all a little bit later. But what are you hearing people saying about the quarterback right now?
Don't you just love the quarterback brotherhood, by the way?
They
are so
listen, I'll say someone playing like trash.
You paint a really good picture because you're right. It is a lot of bad luck just coming at the wrong time. And you hear Zeke talk about how he has that belief because he sees it too. He knows, this offense knows that this isn't all on Dak. There's a lot of pressure on Kellen Moore, though, to come up with a game plan here against this Bucs defense that is going to be coming at them with their hair on fire, blitz happy. They're going to have to use their tight ends a lot. Look, clean football is what's going to help the Dallas Cowboys have success. That's what they need to do. It's simple, it's basic, it's actually a little boring to talk about, but it's the truth. Take care of the football, run the ball. That's where they're going to be able to have the edge.
A reminder that if this is even applicable anymore, that these teams did play each other in week 1, and Tampa beat the Cowboys 19-3. Underline the 3. I mean, that was this season, although it was all the way back in the first week. Now, I've got a Patriot sitting at the table. No one preaches taking care of the football more than the Patriots. Is it as simple as this? If the Cowboys lose the turnover battle on Monday night, their season ends in Tampa Bay. Is it as simple as that?
In the playoffs, it is. I mean, one turnover could be the game, and every single play in the playoffs could matter at the end. So when I look at this team, it's going to come down to controlling the ball, time of possession, and how do you control the ball best? You run the football. Long drives where you're on the field, you keep Tom off the field, and their defense, I think the Cowboys defense, that's another thing. Like early in the year, we were so high on this defense. They're elite, they're the best defense in the league, and then they fell off a cliff, and they couldn't stop the run. So you can't pass rush until you put the team in 3rd and longer down at distances. If you hand the ball off and the other team is running for 5 yards a carry, it's really hard to rush the passer. And this team loves to rush the passer.
Yep.
But you got to stop the run first.
Hambo's just illustrating the point I was making there. Again, Tom Brady doesn't lose when his team wins the turnover battle. And the very first thing you heard in this show was Zeke talking about Dak's confidence from a quarterback's perspective. I mean, Dak is a confident young man. Any of us who know him know that. He exudes all of that stuff. But at some point, does that get shaky? Are you concerned about his psyche going into this, especially coming off last week?
At this point with Dak, I'm not concerned about his psyche, and I think part of it is, the video I showed there, like everybody knows it, which is I think why Zeke talks about it. I was looking at a quarterback and you looked at him, you're like, he's just not seeing it right. Like he just continues to make bad decision after bad decision. Then I would worry about that.
All right, we're working on getting RC again. Ryan Clark will join us coming up as we continue here this morning, and we will have much more on the Cowboys, including exactly what is at stake for them on Monday night beyond the parameters of this season. In the meantime, our next stop is Baltimore and the huge news of last night, and it came directly from the man himself.